Hello everybody and welcome to ServiceNow Expeditions. We navigate ServiceNow Cosmos in clear steps. No void, no confusion. Your guides are Mike, Ola and Ivan. However, we don't have Mike with us today as he is on a special assignment. So Ola, what are we going to discuss today?
We have already covered some pieces of data connectivity, how to relate tables. And today we're going to take a deep dive into custom relationships.
That sounds great. Where should we start?
Let's start in Studio, or maybe take a look at our form first. So we have here our related lists, which are composed of expedition tasks and expedition ratings. So you can click on one of the expedition tasks. We have only one here. And here we have a direct reference back to the expedition record from this task.
Yeah, we are using this expedition field, reference field, which automatically generates relationships to the expedition table. We discussed this in our previous video.
Yeah, precisely. And at times you might not have that kind of direct relationship. You might need to create this relationship for yourself. And this is what we're going to dive into today.
So let me switch to the studio and let's show our viewers what we have prepared for today.
Yeah.
All right. I see 4 relationships here.
Yeah.
Let's discuss the crew member first, right?
Let's go there.
All right. So what do we have here?
If you switch back to the form, we have in this expedition record 2 expedition crew members, Abraham Lincoln and Beth Anglin. And they are records that are just sysids in this record. So you cannot do anything with them or easily expand more information about them. What we're doing is we want to have a related list that shows some more details about our expedition crew.
Yeah, and just to remind our viewers about the things we discussed before, as you can see, Abraham Lincoln and Beth Anglin are looking as URL links, which you can click and drill down to the records. But this is only happening because we have SNUtils plugin installed. In the normal system, you do not see this. You will only see them as a text, and this text is represented as a comma-separated sysid list in this light list field. So let us switch back to the studio.
Okay, let's start from the top. This is a query that's happening here. You have 2 base options. You have applies to table and queries from table. Applies to table is telling you where you're coming from. In this time, we are coming from an expedition record, and the queries from table is where you're looking at. So you're looking at the sys user table for additional records from there.
So this is this point where most of us, right, even people with experience, get really confused. So what is current and what is parent?
Yeah, this is the main thing that's going to confuse everyone and still does to experienced developers. So you see here in the script field that you have a refined query function that takes 2 parameters, the current and the parent. And if you've been working in ServiceNow for a while, you think, okay, I've done a couple of business rules. So current is the object I'm working with. Not here. No, here the parent is the record that you're
wrong.
working on. Yeah. So that causes a whole lot of headaches before you get your head around that. The current is the table you're acquiring to, which is the sysuser table. And here we are doing the query to add a query to get all the users that are in our parent value of expedition crew.
Which means in this one, and as we remember, this one is a comma-separated list of sysids, so we can use in to identify a sysid inside of it. So we can use it in the add query.
Yeah, and then when you created this relationship, that's all fine. Then you also have to add the relationship to the form.
Exactly.
Now.
Yeah, we called it crew members. We switch back to the form of the expedition. Now we select the hamburger on the top left, and then in configure related list, we will see them. Here we are. Remember, right? So the system generated relationships based on the reference field have this naming convention, like the source table, then the arrow, the target table, and the ones we've made, the custom made, they do not have this. So let's just add it. Save. And here we are. We see crew members involved in this expedition and their additional details. Amazing.
Yeah, easy.
Should be really helpful. Only matters now how you configure this related list, right, to display the information you want. And then it's up to you.
Yeah, easy peasy.
All right, what's next?
Let's take a look at another example.
Leadership tasks.
Yeah. Here we have kind of the same. We have applies to table expedition. It queries from the expedition task table. And here we use a query that gets some value of a sysid of a group record,
Which is
It
stored as a system
in a
property.
and we use that to get all the tasks that are valid for that query. So let's see how that looks.
Basically, the idea of this relationship is to highlight us as a leadership of expeditions. What are other expedition or leadership tasks currently open across all expeditions?
Yeah,
This might be helpful. This is, of course, I would say an artificial use case, but you can play around with your own and see how this can apply in your environment. Let me switch back to the form and let us add this type of relationship to our form here. I select leadership task, press save. And here we are. We have a new related list showing us all open leadership tasks across all expedition records. Be pretty handy to keep it all here. Might save you some clicks. Great. The next one is my other expedition, which has a tiny trick right inside because we are querying the same table.
Yes, there's no restriction here. You can query the same table as where you're coming from. There's no such restrictions. And
that makes full sense, because if you want to conveniently display some related records in a way you describe in your relationship, right? And
yeah,
this query is applied to a table which has millions of records, right? Yeah, we have in our expedition table a bunch of records, right? But when there is a million of records, and you don't want to build filters every time to find it, you want to have it conveniently provided on the form in relation to those records, right? That they are available for you to consume. This is how you do it.
Yeah, and the tiny trick that we used in this query is that you see here, we have 3 lines here. First, we only want to have active expeditions. Then we want to have only expeditions where you, as a logged in user, are the expedition leader. And finally, you don't want to see the same record. Remove that from the query.
This is what we are doing using this,
so
with this
skip
line.
that one.
All right. So let me back to the form again. Open the expeditions. And here we are. There is just one other expedition where I am listed as an expedition leader. We can check it.
Only one active expedition.
Yeah, only one active expedition. And we do not see the current one, right? It's also active, but it's not there.
Yeah, precisely.
Great. Now I presume we have just only one left, which will be showing us some very, very interesting behavioral things we found in relationships. And somebody can call them like, corner cases. Let's see what they are about. I have the fourth relationship, which is called active ship incidents, which is supposed to show us what kind of active incidents we have on our ships at any time we are in the expedition form, so that we always know whether we get it back or not.
Also, it shows that you can do a custom relationship that doesn't have any, in this case, we have no relationship between incidents and the expedition record, so we defined the relationship ourselves.
Exactly. As you can see here, current relationship is set up in a way to show us only active records. You see that we are applying add active query to the incident table, which means that all active incidents will be shown. And then we have a couple of commented out things. Do you want to say something about the limit, Ola?
As I recently found out, this setLimit that you can use in most other places where you do a query is not respected in a custom relationship for some reason. Let's see how it behaves.
Exactly. Let me add this related list again. Oh, we still see all of them. It's really not respected. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
The active ones
I was surprised by this one.
The active ones are respected, however, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, we do not
Otherwise,
see.
that would be an issue.
We do not see any closed ones. We can open the list, and you see there are 95. So active query works fine.
Yeah.
What about this one? Current order by desks is created on.
Yeah.
So it should.
You want to show those records in a specific order.
Yeah. Let me save it. Now, if I open my expedition record, if I refresh it, I will see that they are sorted from the freshest to the oldest.
Yes.
And here is the trick. I cannot change it.
No, you have
It
locked out that
fixed.
possibility.
That's something that I didn't know personally until today.
Good learning.
Well, this was 4 very interesting cases and corner cases we have prepared for you guys. And now we would like to discuss one more, which is relatively common in the community.
Yep.
Ola, what is this about?
Repeatedly, you have a community question that goes, oh, I want to copy attachments from this record to this record because people are looking at this record and they want to have attachments available from the parent record or whatever.
Like catalog tasks and requested items, right? Very common.
For example, yeah, very common. Or incident tasks collected to incidents or similar cases. You could easily resolve that by adding a related list, custom related list to show attachments to the parent record.
How do we do that?
As previously explained, you have to create your own custom relationship before you can show it.
All right, so let's do this. I'm switching back to Studio and creating a new relationship. I presume we can call it like parent attachment or something, right? If I am doing this, I'm asking myself, do we have it already created? Can we use an example from the relationship table? Let me try and see if there is an attachment relationship made by ServiceNow for us. Let's check. There is an attachment, which is checking table and returning the table CCD. So this is relevant for the current record.
Yeah.
Can we use it somehow in our script to make a parent attachment?
We can see how we did it in our previous example with the tasks to expedition record to use parent ID.
So I presume we can use the template which was found in the attachment. We just need to make a tiny modifications here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, I need to select the table where this query applies to. This will be expedition tasks.
Yep, that's the one.
Now, the one where we're querying from, and as we are looking for attachments, we will be querying from attachments.
Correct.
Right. Great. So what do we do with these guys here?
We have to define the query.
Yeah. So we know the table, right? And the table is expedition records. The table is not changing in this case, so we can hard code it. However, it's always a good practice, of course, to store your configurations outside in a system property, script include, or whatever. As a homework, we would like you to figure out how we can automatically get the table name from the parent record to avoid hard coding. This will, of course, generate an additional glide query and is not really performance friendly, but for the demonstration reasons and for the understanding would be good. We are, however, going with this hard-coded value, so I will put it as table name here. And we need the sysID of the record, expedition record associated with our task. This one we will get by using parent expedition, get value, then expedition field. Because we know that the expedition field stores the sysID of the expedition we need. And as we know, the sysattachment table stores the table name and the associated sysID in these two fields, table name and table sysID. Now let me save it. I will now open the record, refresh it, and here you go.
Yeah.
This is your
and also we can see a little more details here on the attachments that we don't have access to when we look at the expedition record and just hover over the attachment. We only get the name. Here we get some more details. So that's also good.
That's amazing. The last thing we would like to say is that the most renowned relationship we have across the platform, and you probably know about them, you see them from time to time when you work with the metadata on the platform and you are creating business rules, client scripts, script includes or whatever. And these are versions and updates.
Yeah.
You can often see them when you're working with the system components, when you're developing something. And if you click on the hamburger menu, go here, let's say, and then in the related list, here they are, updates and versions. Those related lists are very useful to understand how many updates have been performed with this particular record and which version it is currently on. The version is especially helpful because you can use it to compare multiple versions by selecting two of them in the list and then switching to the actions on selected rows and selecting compare. And you can also roll back to one of the previous versions. Let's say you have developed something and it's not working, you're frustrated, your brain is not working, and you have no clue how to fix it, but you need to go back to the point, to that baseline when it was probably poorly coded, but it was functioning. So you go here, you select your version, and then you roll it back. But this we will not demonstrate today. It will be your homework, additional homework after this expedition record. So drop us a comment how you do this. We are really excited if you like this feature and functionality. This is how you also make sure that, let's say, one of your customizations could be always rolled back. There are, of course, some exceptions and tricky things where it's not always that easy, but this is mostly how you can roll back to, let's say, an out-of-the-box version of some component or a business rule or whatever.
Very useful.
Well, guys, that was it for today's session. We hope you found it useful. You picked up a lot of tips and tricks, understood how custom relationship works. To finalize it, here are the most important takeaways from this session. Always remember that applies to is a parent and current is the query from. This is one of those very confusing things which are happening all the times. Remember that you can use relationships to highlight or to display additional information from some tables like users, groups, or whatever, or any other custom tables if you need so. Remember that you can query the same table to highlight or display somehow related records, which you might find useful for any reason. Remember about some corner cases where setLimit will not be recognized and ordering will be fixed if you specify it in your code. And of course, parent attachments. Very useful for a multi-level entities like requests.
And avoid those data duplications by copying attachments.
Yes. We will continue exploring the data connectivity topic in our next sessions, and we still have a lot to uncover. With all that being said, we will be glad to see you in our next sessions. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.